Yes, welcome to the kickoff of the first part of a lecture series that is planned to go for at least 2.5 years. And it's part of the project we call GEM, which is short for Green Education in Media, which is an Erasmus Plus cooperation project. I will now give you a short introduction what the general project is about, and then this lecture series is part of this project, just one part, so it's a larger project, but we thought it would be good to give you an overview about the whole project at the beginning. And when we thought about GEM and were concepting the project, we asked ourselves, so why do we keep envisioning dark futures, techno dystopias, and why are we thinking often about worlds built of steel and plastics in the future, if we actually rather would live here in harmony with nature in a sustainable environment? And we genuinely believe this is possible, but what keeps us from doing that? Now, maybe it's because we teach and learn in environments which look like this. This is not a bad place in itself, so you can have a lot of fun there, but it's dominated by technology. It's centered on screens, and we're confined by concrete walls, when we could be learning, well, for example, here, which actually we will be doing in a workshop that we are organizing in June, where we will be out in the Projektraum Dransdorf, which is on the outskirts of Berlin. And we'll be trying out to teach media conception and world building in a week-long workshop, in and with nature, and with participants from all 8 participating universities in the consortium and the Institute of Arts and Innovation. So in a nutshell, GEM aims to reconnect media curricula to today's environmental reality by introducing subjects and methods that reflect on and work at the intersection between environmental reality and digitality. We call environmental reality, or the term environmental reality, encompasses for us nature and its phenomena, as well as the interrelation of man-made environments and the natural environment. The curricula of study programs, and this is what we at least found for the participating universities, related to digital media design and production, film production, currently focus on the creation of digital and virtual worlds. These worlds occur in different forms, such as story worlds in filmmaking, serial writing and games, virtual explorable worlds in XR, and digital communities in social media design. While digital skills and competencies are important to students in today's labor market, the related study programs tend to create a kind of digital bubble of their own, neglecting the impact of digital technologies on our natural environment. And this is, well, what we want to change. We have 4 main work packages in the project. The first is about alternative media learning spaces. What I've just shown you, like, why can't we teach media outdoors, in and with nature, in different settings, and not just in PC labs? And how can we reconcile those digital worlds with the nature and the natural environment that's out there? So, in a nutshell, how can we embrace nature as a context of learning? The next work package is about the environmental impact of media design production. So it answers the questions, how can we make our own production processes sustainable? So we're looking at ourselves, our own craft, our processes, and look for good practices and sharing these good practices on how to create our media content and products in a more sustainable way. Then the next package is about going out, making a change in the world, having an impact. So it's called Stories of Environmental Impact and Climate Change. And it answers to the question, how can our craft contribute to make a difference to society? So we want to use the tools we have, like storytelling, world building, prototyping, to help people envision better futures and to co-create these futures with them. And by creating stories about them, by creating story worlds about positive futures, we want to make people, enable people in society to actually, well, realize these scenarios, implement them, so follow up on those visions and make them real. And the last work package is about building an environmental media curriculum that is a bit more dull in comparison to the other work packages, which is probably why I didn't even finish the question that is related to it. So it's basically, how can we integrate this all in a sustainable way in our media curricula, so curricula of media study programs, which encompasses film production, but also XR production and interactive media design. And how can we this not just an extra where we need an Erasmus project to pull this off, but make this an integral part of all of our curricula. We already started, so this is an example of the nature walks we did really at the beginning to just see, okay, if we now simply go out to nature and as part of our courses, what could that add, what value could that add, what insights could this add to different courses? We did this at the different sites, in Tampere, in Finland, in Athens, we did this in Poland, we did this here in Germany, and in Malta, in Zagreb, so at all our partner universities. And we shared the experiences and are trying to create methods building, embracing nature as a context of learning in digital media study programs. We had a world building workshop envisioning positive futures for an island that is shaken by an earthquake and has to be rebuilt in a sustainable fashion. And this was a quite inspiring workshop we did in December with experts in world building from a world building institute of the USC San Francisco, I think, from Juan Diaz and Alex McDowell. And we will do more future visioning workshops in the workshop we will be doing in June. And actually, this lecture series is part of work package 3, so reflecting our own craft in terms of sustainability and exchanging good practices. And that's why I'm really happy that this is such an international consortium and audience. This is a consortium of the GEM project, which comprises, so as a project leader, coordinator, the Film University Babelsberg, Konrad Wolf here in Potsdam, Germany. Then we have the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens in Greece. We have the Tampere University of Applied Sciences and the Tampere Universities from Tampere and Finland. We have Łódź Film School and the Jagiellonian University in Krakow from Poland. We have the University of Dramatic Arts of the University of Zagreb, the University of Malta, and the Institute for Art and Innovation here in Berlin as partners. And all this is co-funded by the European Union, by the Erasmus Plus program, and we're very happy to have received this grant, which will allow us to follow up with these activities for 3 years in total. If you have any question about this, so refer to any of the people in the consortium, which are here in the call, in the meeting. And you can also look up at gem-project.eu to get further information about the project. So that was my introduction. And now I hand over again to Marta for the main part of the program, which you actually have been waiting for the last 10 minutes probably, but I hope that you find this informative nonetheless.
Thank you, Bjorn. We will move to the sustainability topic because we will have Katja on board. Katja is eco-consultant dealing with sustainability in Germany, in Europe, and cooperating with Film University Babelsberg. So welcome you, Katja, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure and an honor to be here, and I love this international context. Fantastic. I'll go and share the presentation. Everybody has understood that we are facing crisis and catastrophe if we are not turning around into another direction. And when talking about this, I think filmmaking, and speaking about filmmaking, it's the whole process of media creation, everything, every audiovisual media, but also everything you are going to do is like a climate protection empowerment, because we do have an influence, we do have an impact. And now we are everybody is speaking about the climate protection. Nevertheless, we are having 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which the United Nations have decided to achieve by 2030. So they are all important, and it's our task, I think, to go for it and to support that we really can achieve them. And how can we contribute to achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals? I think film business, media business is like an interface. There is nearly every single industry interconnected with us creating media. And therefore, we are going to have an impact in all spheres by the departments asking for the sustainable fashion, clothing, textiles, buildings, sustainable financing, electronic devices, and IT. So we can create the offerings by demanding and asking. And at the same time, everything what we are doing is storytelling. Everything what we are doing has an impact, has got an impact, because people are still watching other people when they are creating, when they go for film shooting, etc., or also the stories within your projects. So this is really a big potential, and I think it's our responsibility to use it. And it's corporations calculate that only 2 out of 10 consumers will complain to them, and there are other 8 who are silent and thinking the same. Hence, your inquiries will have a 5-fold effect. So let's conduct the necessary dialogues. And how else can we contribute to achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals? I think only together, all of you, all of the GEM countries, in cooperations and partnerships. And therefore, when we think about the areas of activity in green filmmaking, team is number 1. Environment, energy. We have energy, whether we are speaking about digital or shooting, etc. So we have travel and transport. We have the art department, everything connected, interrelated to construction, offices, post-productions, to buildings. We have costume, health, cosmetics, and makeup. And we have food and catering. And in the end, it's always about evaluation and improvement. So like in all our spheres. Therefore, the team is crucial. And no matter in which country we are speaking about green filmmaking, it's the team we have to include from the very first moment, because they also have great ideas and can also exchange with you the challenges, and we can find solutions together. And if it sometimes in our world nowadays, when we speak about green, it's like as if there could be a green without equal chances and opportunities. And it's all about ecology. Nevertheless, green, real green, always is including all dimensions of sustainability. So we have the economical part, we have the creative dimension, we have the ecology, and also we have social dimensions. Therefore, we can have the assessment criteria for fairness in fiction film productions. We can keep them in mind when talking to other people about green and ecology. So we might have easy access and are accepting each other. Environment, nowadays we are in measuring our environmental impact via the greenhouse gases, which is a very clever, effective system. There are only few things or realms we cannot cover by them expressing. So we know that it needs about 80 trees to offset 1 ton of emitted carbon equivalents. We have already had film projects to test how a usual way, a conventionally way, and a green filmmaking way is working. This was in 2015, a pilot project. Now we speak at least 50% we can reduce carbon emissions. So there's a big potential. And in Europe, since half a year, we are having the Eureka, European Environmental Calculator. Everybody can use it. It's from several European countries, a co-production, let's say. And we can, on the one hand, calculate what our emissions would be by our production. And on the other hand, we can learn about green filming. So that's one of the pan-European projects. And another one is green.film, so green film, a rating system and certification for a sustainable film production, also with the first steps to compare even emissions and cost. So very good development also from several European countries. And also there are clever tools which cost not very much. It's more a small license fee. It's like the well-known Albert from Great Britain and the Greenshot, I think from France or Belgium, very good also. And the Sustainable Toolkit, it's a Grüner Werkzeugkasten. It's also translated into English by now, which helps us to communicate with the team to really understand the impact of our actions. Now, next sphere is energy. We are always talking about energy sources and efficiency, no matter in which country we are speaking, and it should be renewable resources. We have them whether talking about cinematography or about digital production, post-production, etc., and how to bring energy to the place where we need it and rechargeable batteries instead of one way. So I should go faster. It's because you will go deep into all these topics, I'm sure. It's just to make clear whatever we are going to do, it does have an impact. And here we have the difference between usual energy mix and the German energy mix, the usual German energy mix and the pure green energy mix. So it's always interrelated with which decisions we are taking. and post-production. We have always travel and transport. We have the differences we know about it between, for instance, flying and going by train. We have the NOxes and the carbon emissions. And we have the solutions also in many languages already to find the best way how to travel. And for the short distances, we also already have the comparison, and it's our choice how we are going to move forward. Always, it should be, of course, always adapted to the situation. There is no one fits all. It's always your decision, deciding what will be the correct way for your project, the safe way, and for everybody. Yes. And now the art department and also post-production offices, it's all about more value, less waste, how the European Union would state it. It's about the sources of materials, resources, reusage. We have costumes, health, cosmetics, and makeup, which are having a big impact also on the water, the oceans, and everything. So this is also important. We have food and catering, and when we talk about food catering, on the one hand, where they come from, whether the animals could live in a fair, well-being way, let's say, or whether it's fair traded, and water consumption, depending on from which country we are speaking about, is a very, very important topic. And yes, and now back to the big picture of the world. That's 50 years ago that the NASA would publish these images from the Earth, the planet. And in 72, we already knew that the resources are not endless. And what we did not know, now we have double the population on the Earth. So for everybody, it's quite clear, okay, then we have to change our behavior and how we are going to work with resources. And we need to be more efficient, not in our fantasy, in creativity, but in how we realize things. We need some kind of sufficiency to understand what is really well-being in our world. I think that's one way why we are creating media and films. And we need to arrive to a circular economy, so consistency, a circular design. It's the European Union is stating in one of her action plans, circular economy means more value, less waste. And circular economy is a prerequisite for climate neutrality. And we have to find a way in whatever we are going to do to think in either technical circle or a biological cycle, where there is no waste left. Like in nature, everything does make sense even after the first life, let's call it like this. And we have to implement this thinking in our media creation, media production. It's from the big, talking about buildings and revitalization of buildings, to smaller things like paper, recycling paper and not fresh paper, to green ICT, pardon me. And that's something we are all using nowadays. And I think we should use our influence to create a better internet and devices world. And it's again us to ask the suppliers for devices produced on high social standards and fairly traded in circular design, a modular way that we can repair it and use it for a long time what is going to happen to the server heat, what is a low carbon production office software. And if you need to read more about this in the Green Cloud Computing research of the Umweltbundesamt, the German environmental office, let's say, there are several pages in English and about, for instance, 1 year of home office or 1 hour of video conference. Which impact does it have on water usage or carbon emissions, etc. So we have the material, we just have to use it and study it. And yes, the way also to come to less waste. And if there is waste, we have to recycle and upcycle it. Also, we should think about sustainable financing, which is having on the one hand an impact on the funds and how what is being done with our money, and on the other hand, to act in a more sustainable way is giving us an advantage, because we are going to become the preferred partners. We are more interesting for investors, etc. pp. As we do have a European taxonomy. It's not the best, but at least it's something. And also ESG rules nowadays. So it's for us better to get money if we act in a sustainable way. And evaluation and improvement, continual improvement as in every project management process. Now, I want to bring some of the examples of the participating countries of GEM, so the organizing countries of GEM, and starting with Croatia, where last year, due to the fact that Croatia has introduced meanwhile the euro into their country, they had a lot of legislation and introducing different laws, which the Croatian Audiovisual Center and media creatives used to suggest sustainable laws for filmmaking, which is fantastic. I just talked to them. The process is still going on, the legislation process. They have not finished it by now, so we don't have the new laws. I think this is the very aim or target where we should come to, that it's equal chances and opportunities, because it's according to the laws for the whole country. In Croatia, it's the process to be. We have from Finland, so my example is Finnish Lapland Code of Conduct, which is including also green and sustainable filming, very advanced already. And we have in Greece, which is also a lovely place to shoot, of course, Berlinale, the newly announced at Berlinale just 2 weeks ago in Berlin International Film Festival, that Greece has joined Green Film. We heard about Green Film before. Now Greece is part of the Green Film certification and teaching and training program. We have Malta, which is, when doing a research, really called Hollywood of the Mediterranean Sea. I'm very curious to know what you are going to tell and what you know how Malta is doing in a sustainable way. We have, we will hear today more about Poland. I just had, when doing a research before, these findings that they have a guidance how to create and media in a sustainable way, in a green way, together with Slovakia. So we do have everything. And now to conclude with Germany, in 2011, we had the occasion to introduce green filmmaking. In all the German-speaking countries, there was no German material available, and we translated the Code of Best Practices for Sustainable Filmmaking and the interrelated checklist from the American University into German and tested it, introduced measures with a TV series, The Country Doctor. And then also we would create a carbon calculator, which was especially for film and TV. It's still existing. And the Film Commission in Germany, Hamburg, Schleswig-Holstein, they introduced a green filmmaking label and created a guide by our guidance, translated and tested, proved sustainable filmmaking checklists. So in the end, it appeared that it is the first European TV series produced in a climate neutral way, as we offsetted also the not reduced carbon emissions. So we have a development in Germany over the years, and now the Green Motion label, which is not strict enough, but at least something many broadcasting companies, production companies, and also film funds have agreed on. And we have, which is a great pleasure, Exit Pangea from the Film University Babelsberg. And it was also during the Berlinale that the producer got the very first, the second, has been given for the second time, the Allocate der Eisvogel in Germany. So only 2 or 3 weeks ago, again, big success, Film University Babelsberg, for its sustainable way of producing this project. And talking about trainings, we have on the one hand trainings for becoming green consultant, green coordinator. Let's talking very much focused on ecology. So I think the green part is where a green consultant can have an influence by consulting, which is a lot in the whole process, from idea, the agreement, the implementation, and the effect. And to go further, there are also trainings like from the International Screen Institute are including the power of money, the psychological part, how to work with the team, and communication. So again, filmmaking is climate protection empowerment, and everything is storytelling, and everything what you are going to do has got an impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Katja. It was marvelous introduction, overlapping all the topic we have in green production, and having even insight into Croatia, Malta, and Greek example. And now we have on board Monika. Monika is dealing with the Film for Climate initiative from the beginning, and she's a real activist in the field. She authored also this manual of the sustainable film production you mentioned. So this will comply the international overview with the grassroots action we have in Poland, because in Poland we have a specific situation that it's not going top down, this initiative of green filming, but it's rather the kind of citizenship initiative supporting by the film bodies like Alliance of Film Producers and regional film funds who are taking care of the regional assets. And Monika will describe into details all our initiatives and how it's going on in Poland.
Thank you.
Please,
thank you.
take
Yes,
the floor.
thank you so much for inviting me here, and thank you for a great presentation, Katja. And also, I've got more knowledge about the project. Yes, I'm really happy that I can also present you the case studies of Poland. So I'm the head of the Łódź Film Commission and the Regional Film Fund. I started to talk with our local production companies and also seeing what is happening on the film sets, also receiving the information from the other European countries, as we are a member of the Synergy organization. So this is European organization gathering regional film funds. We started to think about gathering forces because you cannot act alone, and I knew that we have to do something with in this topic. So we started to cooperate with producers, freelancers, and of course, as a member of the Polish Producers Alliance, so the biggest production organization in Poland right now, because there are more than 160 members, production companies, but also the regional film funds. So we started to talk about what we can do in the area of the sustainability, and that's how the Film for Climate appeared. We organized the first conference during the biggest film festival in Poland, in Gdynia. And thanks to the Polish Producers Alliance, we signed the agreement for sustainable audiovisual production. So our major goals were, first of all, to build the industry awareness of the impact of film productions, but also we wanted to introduce filmmakers different solutions, different practical tools, and how to be more film friendly, how to act in a more film friendly way. But we also decided that we have to share our forces, and as you know, the impact of the big organization is on the market is huge. So that's why we decided to concentrate on different areas, and the Polish Producers Alliance started to first of all create the lobbying initiative dedicated to eligible costs, because it was also pointed by the production companies that the Polish Film Institute do not has this kind of regulations in the operational programs, and also there were planned some changes in a law act dedicated to tax incentives. So that's why now the Polish Producers Alliance started to working on the directory of eligible costs and lobbying both in Polish Film Institute and Ministry of Culture and National Heritage to implement it. It was also important because we wanted to focus the interest of those two institutions on the case of the green production. Also, the director of Polish Film, the Polish Producers Alliance, were engaged in creation of the document framework for supporting cultural and creative sector in Poland, and as members of the Polish Producers Alliance, we also prepared some additional consultations and ideas what should be also changed in this document. So we also had an impact on that. But as a group, we started to discuss about tools which are needed. As I said before, we also had information what is going on in Europe and what systems, protocols, and other green tools were implemented, like green film or green motion, or those green carbon calculators. So we decided that we should apply for money and prepare the first green guidelines for the audiovisual industry. So thanks to the Interreg project, the Green Film Tourism, we're together with the Polish Producers Alliance created this complex document. It also includes checklists, what is important for the production companies, and also there is an appendix dedicated to educational program about sustainable film production. Other area we concentrated on was the educational issues. As Katia said, there are seminars, workshops, and even studies for the green managers, green consultants. We also wanted to start our activities in that area. So thanks to the European Commission and the Polish representative in Wrocław, we managed to organize such workshops called Green Audiovisual Production Laboratory by the end of last year. So you can see the topics of that. I think that it's comparable to what Katia said. So we also wanted to concentrate on the major, the most important areas for producers or people who would like to be green consultants. We invited also green consultants, active green consultants from Europe, but also the representatives of the universities, just to present yes, Marta, to present the different aspects which are important as the circular economy, or how to motivate change habits, how to motivate, of course, the crew and change the habits of the crew members to make the production greener. We wanted also to focus on spreading the information and to build awareness why this is important for the also Polish industry. So last year we organized together with the Polish Film Festival in Gdynia an international conference called Planet Placement: Need for Content on Sustainability versus Sustainable Production. And as you can see, there are the major topics of the conference here. We wanted to gather all important issues dedicated to planet placement, how to change it, the way of thinking, how to also compare it with the green production, and we did it together. So we also cooperated with the film festival and Electrolux company on the first Climate Film Award. It was also the monetary award, not only the title, and it was given to the two projects, the short film and also the feature film too. But as we are a regional film fund, we also wanted to focus on ourselves and change our local environment. So that's why at the beginning, meaning last 2 years ago, we implemented first green guidelines. It was not so complex as the green guidelines as I showed you before, so the big document. But it was also combined with our application form. So we asked production companies who were applying for our regional funds to show us what they would like to implement in different areas of production. Because we wanted to see how it works and what will be the effects afterwards, after receiving the money from the regional film fund. But we also started to qualifying the green costs. It was also because we signed the manifesto of the Synerregio, but also we wanted to do this and to concentrate on making this difference in our region. We decided this year to put additional points in the evaluation of the regional effect. So the producer who would like to receive more points has to present the sustainable production plan and also sustainable transport plan, and has to also show us the agreement with the green manager or green consultant. So this is the obligation. It's quite similar to what is going on in the green film system in Italy. And we will check how it will work in the near future. We've got right now a few projects with those additional documents, so we are really happy about that. And after choosing the project, we will also give the possibility to use the carbon calculator. We are using Albert calculator, so we'll be also monitoring how the implementation of the green solutions in the project will look like. We also spread our application form into other regions in Poland, and it was applied in seven regional film funds. So we are really happy about that. And also in our Film for Climate group, there are 4 regional film funds and film commissions. So we are working together on those solutions, and these are other tools we implemented so to make life easier for the production companies. So these are graphs of dedicated to the location, to the office, and this is stage. And we, of course, this is not the end of our work. Right now in our group Film for Climate, there are more than 40 members. So this is a totally bottom-up initiative. But we are planning to gathering information about sustainable policies, which are functioning in different companies, different areas. I'm meaning mainly the streamers. We would like, of course, thanks to KIPA lobbying and doing lobbying and we're taking some legislative initiatives and reacting on that. And our biggest challenge for this year is to create the green suppliers database. We also would like to create a production certification system, but I think that this is future for now, and also concentrate on educational program for film universities. And still have cooperation with the festivals in Poland. So as you can see, this is mainly kind of bottom-up initiatives, but comparing to other countries in Europe, I think that this is pretty similar. Comparing to Italy, for instance, I think that in Germany also. So yes, together we can change our market, and I believe in that.
Thank you, Monika. If
Thank
you
you.
finished.
Yes. Thank you. I finished. Yes.
Monika is a real engine, yes, and together with a climate Film for Climate group, she's organizing a lot of activities, and one of the activities is also a climate film. I will share the screen. This is what the next meeting will be, because the next meeting will be on 25th of April, and we will talk about the case study, the film which were produced in Łódź Film School and get the prize of climate friendly film. So this will be a super case study to just talk about it, to know how the new producers' ideas and how the new crew can be involved and change the traditional thinking about the film production. I would like to invite you for the discussion now because we have our dear guests. And it will be nice to take opportunity and learn from them about the green film production. So if you can raise the hand like that, we can conduct a discussion. Even we have 68 participants on board, but I hope we can handle that. So if you have any question to Monika or to Katia or to Bjorn, please raise your hand. I will have the first one, yes, because there are new professions arising due to the change of film production and implementation of this circular model. How you feel the eco-consultant will arise as a kind of independent, autonomous profession? Because Katia is already eco-consultant for film and media, yes? It is easy to be a film consultant, eco-consultant, how it works in Germany.
On the one hand, it's a very fulfilling job because we can realize our own what we are convinced of, our convictions, and help to save the world is always nice. On the other hand, it's hard because the situations of people who want to change the way of producing and production is that they are in various constraints, usually by money, financial constraints, or short of time. And what I think is important, really to encourage people and also to demand from the politicians to create safe spaces where somebody can also test a new way of production or a new way of a device, etc. And always with the security in the end to have a product he can sell, which is the big challenge. And in my opinion, when talking to people with the inner respect towards what they are already doing and just suggesting, I think I might have an upgrade is one way of acting with people successfully, because everybody does have inside such a huge knowledge, and it's us to make it come out. But this is a very how to say humanistic approach. It's not the strict school of eco consulting, but I think it works.
Yes, this is, as you said, it's always a teamwork, yes, to find the solution and to analyze the situation and choose the right strategy to act, yes. So not only your own knowledge, but how to work collaboratively, yes, and to build a kind of collective knowledge how to make film green, yes. Thank you.
Sorry, may I add one more sentence?
Yes.
Independent eco advisors, I think, are very useful because they are not depending on what the bosses are telling them, and therefore they can have an impact, and also they can talk also to the clients in a more free way, which is important. Therefore, it's always good to have an independent consultant, not only who are already part of the team, the organization.
Okay, so a kind of authority. Yes, and independence. We have Dominic Socha, our students from Jagiellonian University, raising hand. Dominic, please.
Yes. Hello. I want to ask a question. When did the whole idea start? And if there was a particular element that was like a start point for the whole project? Thank you.
But you are talking about the Green GEM project or the green production initiatives like Film for Climate and changing the workflow into green in European Union, because we have different projects.
I'm talking about the second one.
Okay.
So the film for climate, yes. It started
Yes.
actually during the COVID times, so in 2020, because we started to talk with production companies and Polish Producers Alliance, other regions, what we can do together. And yeah, so it started from conversation and we decided that we have to do something more together and to
but
start.
It was difficult time to collaborate, yes, and to focus on the green film production.
No, it was.
No?
I think that it was easier because the production stopped for a while, unfortunately, but so we had more time to concentrate on this issue. And we started to use Zoom and Team, so we can pretty easily meet and I think that it also helped us in general. But yeah, but that's how it started. So it was the end of 2020. But as a regional film fund and film commission, we started to think and implement our local solutions a little bit earlier in 2019. But I also would like to add what Katja said. So the perspective from the production company is also that this is another person in production. So sometimes it is not so easy to to prepare all those documents, because this is an additional work. Of course, that's why the green manager, because of the knowledge, but also because of the activities which needs to be undertaken in production is responsible. So I think that we also, as local body or national body, think about the cutting the bureaucracy and to easy the whole process of implementation, and also to learn how to collaborate with what you've said, and to all the time to explain why it is so important, because even from our perspectives and the feedback we are receiving, it's still something additional. So the production takes a lot of effort, a lot of money. So that's why we have to convince that this is important, because the impact of each film production is pretty huge. So there are some, of course, data about that. I don't know if you had occasion to read the Albert summarization, but the pretty regular feature film generates about 200 tons of CO2, and the one European citizen generates about 7 to 9 tons per year. So that's the comparison, and we have to add how many productions we do have, and this is only the feature film. We've got TV series, we've got animations, we've got documentaries, etc. So it's quite a lot.
But what about the size of the company and of the producer? Because the film production market is really diverse. We have big players who report ESG reports, yes, and we have a small company, freelancers, and even single entity who has to meet the same challenges. How do you feel it impacts people, and who is the, I don't know, the easier collaborator for you, Katja? Yes, as you are eco consultant, it's easier to talk with the small or with the big?
Oh, there are advantages with the small and there are others with the big. Because with the small, it's often that they have more direct access to people they are working with. It's not such a big construction, and managing director can decide herself or himself. And in big structures, once you make a step in advance, yes, forward, you can make it for a whole process. So for the whole organization or for the whole company, and sometimes there is more manpower or more money, sometimes in the bigger one. So I'd never judge I love them more or that more. No, in the opposite. It's great to work with all of them and with everybody, and everybody has different challenges. And yes.
And what's the main challenge? It's money, or it's consciousness, or understanding? How you perceive this problem?
So usually it's the money, which is the same like the time budget. Money and time are one combination. Often the money and the time are just excuses, and in reality it's the habits. We are all working in routines because we know we can rely upon this routine. It did work up to now. And if I'm going to change something, might become uncertain. I might run to risk to ruin the project in the end. And therefore, people are anxious on the one hand, and on the other hand, they are just in their habits. All of us, we are having our habits and routines, and there is at the same time the big potential, because once I have changed my routine, I'm the same fast like before, I'm the same skilled like before. It's changing the routines, the process, and then it will work.
So perhaps we will have some questions from our audience, but I think it's great work for the university and for the school to build a kind of openness for the new way of working, for the new workflows, and to make people open for opportunities. Yes, because young people has usually more openness than the old one who tried and entered the scheme they are following. Yes. So you think it will go with the next generation, or it's worth to work with the existing one?
Thank you. So it's definitely worth to work with us, and becoming elder and elder. It's even more important to update one's own routines and habits, and it's lifelong learning, with no doubt. And of course, always the hope remains that the younger generations, they are going to make it more fast. And it's really thanks to Fridays for Future that I don't know in the whole world, but at least in Europe, we have this change. We have now the awareness. I mean, we spoke about green filmmaking since the 2009, 10, and now we are still in the beginnings. We are in, nevertheless, it's thanks to the young generation and Fridays for Future that then Filmmakers for Future, Architects for Future, Health for Future, everybody got into action. And so without the younger, it would not work. With you, it is going to work.
Yes, and can you tell something more about Fridays for Future? Is it a national initiative, and how it works? Because perhaps it's a kind of good practice we can follow. Fridays for Future?
As I understood, it was Greta Thunberg in Sweden who just made a strike. It's called strike, isn't it? No,
yes.
how a strike in yes.
Strike in Polish.
Yes, okay, in Polish at least. In English, who decided not to go to school because there will be no future, and just to sit and show where the problem might be, and starting with her. So it's one single person who can empower a whole generation. Starting with her, it became more and more and more, and then it's on all over the world. And as students and children stopped going to school on Fridays and went to the street instead, they were visible. They created a visibility, I'd say. And such how I mean how we can do it with filmmakers. Yes, we can also, every of us can start and be the beginner. And if there's one person beginning and the person is just doing it, others will follow. Yes, everybody can be Greta.
A part of the team. Do you have any? Do we have any other question? I don't see the hands raised.
So if I can add also something to Katja said, because I also think that the role of university and school is very important, because this is the place where everything is starting actually. So the good construction of the educational scheme is crucial, and giving also solutions. What is important from the production perspective is to gathering the case studies and best practices, because we are still learning how to solve different problems, implement different solutions. So this is not so easy that everything is given and we know how to act, because there are appearing the new challenges, but also scientific data and scientific information, what is working, what is not working. And of course, the innovation is important. So implementing new solution, how to organize the production. So we started also to talk about our role as film commissions and the film funds, because of course we would like to have a lot of film productions in our region, but this is not a green, the climate friendly. So we also have to think how to solve this. So what we can propose to the production companies acting in our regions. So you see that this is a complex topic. I think that also leaders as Greta Thunberg are very important, because they are, creating those emotions and building the awareness of the problem. But when we are going to the production, we have to know how to act, what to do.
Katja? Yes, Katja.
Thank you. Talking about universities and film schools, for instance, this would be very interesting for me to understand how it is going to be a crucial part of the teachings as fast as possible. We have it in this project, in the GEM project, that we are going to introduce it. And couldn't we, apart from teaching how to do it in an ecological way and to make this part of the schedule, also teach how to communicate with people and how to, also introduce the psychological part so that our future filmmakers, media creators are really able to cover the whole sphere. And
how to drive the change, yes?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Wonderful. To say it in a nutshell, how to drive the change.
It's not easy. It's not easy, and it's really complicated, yes, because we would like to drive the change, but we are not so capable to do it alone. So if you want to drive the change, we have to go together, yes, because this is this team which really takes impact, because if we want to go fast, we should go alone, but if we want to go farther, we have to go together.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if there is no any other questions, I'm waiting still 1 minute. I think we have to thank Monika and Katja for being with us, for sharing experience, examples and knowledge, yes, about the green film production. We have the next meeting, as I said, on 25th I think yes, 25th of April. So you are kindly invited for this meeting, and we will talk about case study and incentives we can put in place, like film awards and case studies which will show how to deal with the green filming. So the next meeting will be co-moderated with Professor Małgosia Kotlińska from Łódź Film School, because it was a Łódź Film School film. Yes, Małgosia. A film which was given this climatic film award, so it will be a nice case study, and I think you will like it a lot.
Yes, thank you for invitation, and I would like to invite all of you because we would like to share with the students experience, especially students. So it will be a great opportunity to think of your own project, how to change them, how to create something green during your film production. Thank you, and
this is also a good case, because I was in the jury of the Climatic Film Award. So it's good attitude of the director also, not only the producer. So yeah, it's a good example worth being at the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you also, Katia. It was great, and Monika, thank you very much. See you.
Goodbye.
Bye.